I'm taking a stick to a bear fight next on the Journal. Hi friends, and welcome. On today's adventure, we're going archery hunting for black bear. We're headed up to Nakina, Ontario to look for some outsized Bruins, and I should tell you that I originally wasn't the guy that was supposed to do this hunt. Unfortunately, at the last minute, some things went a little sideways, so I had to step up and do the hunt myself. And I know what you're thinking, but the truth is sometimes you just gotta man up. A man does have to do what a man has to do. So, yeah, I grabbed my stick pusher and we headed north. And when we got there, we were met with 90-degree temperatures, unbearable humidity, pun intended. It was certainly not the normal weather for being that far north and certainly not conducive to bear hunting. Still, you do have to play the hand you're dealt, and that's exactly what I was going to do. Hey, I'm your host, Kyle Randall. This is my Wilderness Journal, and we're going bear hunting with a stick right now. We'd chosen a picturesque spot on the side of a small beaver pond, and we already had our gear set up. We pulled up our bow, put on our safety harness, and started hunting. This would have been actually quite enjoyable if it hadn't been so hot. The first few hours in the tree, all I did was work on my tan and occasionally turn my head ever so slowly to see yet another squirrel. Over and over I'd hear a little noise, turn ever so slowly, and squirrel. $123, squirrel. $124, squirrel. But 125 was a squirrel, yeah. $126 times, and it was still a squirrel. Einstein's definition of insanity was doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So, yeah, it's kind of like that. However, bears, especially true wild bears, make so little noise when they move that you have to examine every single little sound. You have to be careful. It doesn't take much to spook these animals. They're not habitualized. These aren't dump bears from somewhere where they've been fed out a car window. These are wild critters, and every little sound, every dark spot, every shadow has to be examined because they are easy to spook, and a lot of times you'll only get one chance to do that. We were just going to have to sit there and keep looking, but I was planning a squirrel hunt for later on in the season. The sun was starting to go down. I was being quiet. Then I heard another noise, and yeah, you still got to look. That's the way it is. That's bear hunting. A couple of times I did hear something that I couldn't see. I didn't see a squirrel. And then I heard another noise. I looked to see the 128th squirrel, and holy, this wasn't a squirrel. I could see what looked like a huge boar standing there, sniffing. He was working his way in, but being mighty cautious. That's what I meant when I said these things are really spooky. These are wild bears. And then I heard another noise. I looked over. There was another boar already at the bait barrel. There were two huge boars coming, one from either direction. This boar was definitely a shooter. The other one seemed even a little bigger. Now I was just going to wait. I was going to let my pulse and my heart slow down a little bit. I was definitely going to get my bow in my hand, but these bears were calm. They weren't spooky. I was just going to sit there, size them up, see what they were going to do, and then hopefully I'd make a choice and get a chance. We stood silently watching as one bear started approaching the other at the bait. And that's when it became clear these weren't friends. They don't know how to share. They don't share well. Yeah. Just let them settle in. The sound of those 3-inch fangs popping together is meant to be an attention getter, and I assure you, my friends, it is. They're both definitely boars. You know what? Watch the all-black one. If that one gets around here and gives us a shot. And between that and the sound of those boars snapping the rib bones from the bait can, this is a total sensory type of thing. You can see these bears, you can smell them, you can hear them, and everything about them tells you, keep your eye on that all-black one. I think he's the better of the two. These guys are full-grown and they mean business. We might shoot this bear. I want to see him stand up and grab that bucket and see how tall he is. It was about then that I believe I realized I may have just missed an opportunity. The bear that I thought was the better of the two had wandered off, and I had no idea where it went. I was standing there trying to decide now, should I take this other bear before it leaves? Sometimes you just gotta pull the trigger. I may have waited too long. The larger, older boar, the one I wanted, just walked off, and I sat there thinking to myself, you dimwit, you just watched a trophy bear walk out of here. Now you're gonna have to decide, are you gonna take a run at the other boar before he up and wanders out? Fortunately, before I was forced to make that decision, the bears decided for me. I was watching the bear at the bait, trying to make up my mind, when I noticed the other bear creeping up through the brush on the hill behind us. He was slowly and methodically working his way into the wind, stopping and looking, testing. This was definitely predatory behavior. He was being careful, but he was deliberate. And when he'd reached a point that I felt was directly downwind of our stand, he stood for a few minutes, tested the air one more time. He's coming right at us. And then came straight at our tree, right straight in. He came all the way to the base of our tree, stood there, sniffed around a little bit, and then started coming up the tree. I was fairly certain this was much too big a bear to climb this small a tree, but a guy never knows, and I'm pretty sure Dave didn't think much of the whole deal. And after he dropped down and walked underneath us and stood there looking at the other bear for a minute, and then charged him, well, I think Dave thought even less of it then. was going to come up here and talk to you, Dave. We were safe, at least for the moment, but the bones were still snapping, the jaws were still popping. These were like two huge sumo wrestlers slowly circling each other. If that all black one gives us a shot, we're definitely going to do it.
It's close enough.
These aren't a couple of friendly cubs. Both of these bears are well north of 300 pounds, and I'm here to tell you, being this close to two animals of this magnitude that don't get along, well, friends, let's just say that's what I call living in the moment. These two big boys just kept circling each other until finally the bigger of the two wound up back out in front of us, quartering away. A pretty good shot, but I was just a little bit worried the one bear might charge the other and move him. I decided to wait. I didn't want to miss, or worse yet, wound a bear. I was just going to hold off and see what happened. For a second I had a shot. At least it looked pretty good, but I truly do not like to shoot at animals that are fighting, especially bears. All it takes is for one to bluff or charge the other and he'll jump, and if that happens in the middle of your shot, well, it can cause you to miss or something even worse. I was just going to wait, but I'll be honest, the fact that that big boy had walked off once already was still sitting in the back of my mind. Things was getting tense up in my tree. They throw that barrel around like it don't weigh nothing. Yeah. These two big boys were still fussing over the turkey and pork bones in that bait can, but I knew sooner or later it was gonna run out, and when that happened, one or both of them was gonna get up and walk off, and that'd be the end of it. We did still have a bucket of caramel corn hanging 7 feet up a tree, and I kept waiting for one of them, if not both, to find it and reach up and grab that. Anything that would separate these two bears so I could get a decent shot would be welcome. Because sooner or later, you gotta know your time is gonna be up. And then the bigger of the two boars did just that. He jerked that bucket off the tree, and the sound sent the smaller boar running. They were separated. The big boy was quartering away, and just as I got ready, of course the other bear came back and it turned him. That's exactly what I was worried about earlier. If you try to make that shot too quick and another bear comes in and he turns, it can be a bad thing, trust me. I stood there listening to them moan and growl at each other for a few more minutes, and then finally the smaller of the two boars walked off. It was beginning to look like I might finally get a shot. The tables had finally turned. The bigger boar, the one I wanted, had finally taken over the bait. Now all I needed was for him to get his head out of that bucket and stand up so I could get a decent shot. It was beginning to look like we might actually get this done. I whispered to Dave to be ready. If this big boy got up and turned just a little bit, we were going to take our chance. We were out of bait. It wouldn't be long and this bear too would wander off, and we'd have had a great show and nothing to show for it. And then finally, he got up. Man, how's that for intense, buddy?
Intense is a good word.
I thought that bear was going to come up this tree with it. Holy smoke.
I wasn't real fond of the eyeball-to-eyeball contact and him eyeballing the ladder of how to climb.
Yeah. That was two big male bears.
I was gauging the distance, like the bottom of that bucket is 6 feet, and they were up over halfway, still on their feet.
Yeah, those are both. I think that all black one was just a little bit better, although either one of them was good. That one that sat there and ate, he was the snottier of the two, no doubt. But he never would turn to give us a shot. You know, he did laying down, but I like him standing up. And then that big one started to leave, that black one. I thought, boy, we waited too long. And he circled, came up right up on the tree. That's why you bear hunt, brother, right there. Thank the Lord that worked out. And I heard that bear go down. He didn't go nowhere. Want to go get a bear?
Let's go take a look.
Let's go. As soon as I quit shaking it, you know what? I never get excited till after I touch that trigger, but then I just kind of go to pieces for about a second, and then I reel it back in, and what I usually say is, well, Dave, it's just another Monday at the office, you know, it's just...
My heart rate did increase a little bit. Yes, it did.
You deserve an attaboy for coming out here with me. I truly, truly appreciate it. Certainly thanks to Eric and all the guys, but I know you did most of the baiting and the camera work now, too.
Well...
You want to hire on full-time, or?
No, not full-time. I kind of like my environment the way it is.
Fishing. Well, you know what? Tomorrow we're going fishing, so let's go get us a bear and get him hauled off. I made what I felt was a really good shot, and I had no doubt that bear wasn't going far. Still, in all of hunting, especially archery hunting, there is what I call the hunt after the hunt. You have to get down and you have to go find your critter. And in archery bear hunting, that's a little extra something. Walking up on a critter that can rip you limb from limb in the blink of an eye, well, let's just say in all of hunting, that is a special moment. Oh, yeah. He ain't gonna... Oh, and he didn't go nowhere. He's right there. He didn't go... What is that? 25 yards. He's post right there. That's the way you want him. Put this down over here. Holy smokes. That thing. Holy. I said, Lord, look. I can't lift this thing. Look at the size of that bear. This thing is huge. It's got to be 300 pounds. I can't barely lift his head by myself. That is a massive bear. Whew. Them two boys come in there fighting. He's wanting to roll off this log. He's so heavy I can't hardly hold him up. They come in there fighting. I was going to take the other one, the one with the brown muzzle. He seemed to be a little taller. This one was a little heavier. And I just couldn't get him lined up for a shot. And then this one left. I thought, booger, where he just kind of waited too long. He circled, he came back, came up underneath our tree. I thought old Dave was going to jump right out. Look at that now. You get that staring up at you from about 6 feet, and you see what you do before you start laughing at old Dave. He stuck her, man. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Dave. Certainly. Thanks to Eric and Sue Lund, everybody up at Esnagami Lodge. This is an awesome bear on a tough, tough hunt. It's been 90 degrees. Everybody that's up here for 2015 bear season, the opener, they know it's 90 degrees in the bush. It's never like this except for this weekend. We came out and got not one but two giant boars to come in, got to watch them fighting and scuffling. They do not share. And no, you don't want to be between them and their food. Either way, I thank the Lord Jesus. This was a great, great bear, a great hunt. And I still get to do some more big pike fishing. This place, Esnagami Lodge, I just can never get enough. I've been here dozens of times, and I'm going to keep coming back until they pass a law that says I can't. Thank you, Bear. Thank you for this. Is going to be a beautiful new blanket on the bed, and it was truly a remarkable hunt. Hundreds of pounds of meat. Look at that. That is a bear now. Oh, what a monster. Oh. Let me see if I can roll. I can't even hardly move him. That is a bear. That, friends, is a totally wild great northern forest bear, and a darn nice one. I was very fortunate. I should tell you, these animals aren't habitualized to humans at all. There's no dump, no tourists feeding them marshmallows. These things are wild, and as you saw in their world, the real world, it is truly eat or be eaten. You should look at it this way. Out there, in the wild, nothing dies slowly and comfortably of old age. That's not the way it works. It's a little coarser, a little grittier, but the truth is it's a whole lot more exciting. And that's why I think we should all take a walk on that wild side from time to time. Get a hold of your fears and get out there and give it a try. And if you're truly feeling froggy, try taking a stick to a bear fight. It is absolutely amazing. Hey, I want to thank again Mr. Dave Hagen, certainly Eric Lund, everybody up at Esnagami Lodge, without whose help this couldn't have been possible. I truly enjoyed this, as I always do, and that was one I'll remember for a long time. And while I'm thinking of it, I hope to see some of you up there. I hope you're chasing a big old bruin of your own, and if you get one, well, you can bet we're going to stop and help you drag it out. Them things are incredibly tough to move. And after that, well, we're going to share that cup and a fire. And if I don't see you out there, friends, well, then I'll wait for you right back here so we can share another adventure from my wilderness journal. Thanks again, everybody. That was wild.